Hi. Okay. Hi, everyone. The live stream is started. I uh, am so caught off guard. I didn't realize it was hitting 11 o'clock and I was still preparing for this live stream. And so, welcome to Live Coding Elevenses. If you're tuning in for the first time, and a lot of you might actually be watching this for your first time because this is the first time I'm streaming this show to LinkedIn on top of YouTube and Twitch, which is where I normally stream to. And so if you're joining us from the many different locations that you could be potentially watching from, say hi, just so I know that you're there, so that I know who I'm interacting with. Depends on if you ask questions and stuff like that. I try to tailor these streams to what people actually want to watch. But live coding happy hour, if you have heard of that term, back in the day was a live coding stream that the developer advocates for ServiceNow used to just do live coding projects on to show the real development process instead of really clean demos and feature overviews. And so live coding happy hour was this idea of let's make it actually show what a real dev process looks like. And since then, the live coding happy hour show has evolved into 3 different shows, just so that it could fit our schedules better, so that we could be a little bit more consistent on it. Hello, everyone that's saying hi. I see a lot of people from YouTube. Hi, Sydney. Hi, Ben. Hi, Hajar. Hi, Min. But yeah, live coding happy hour has turned into live coding. We call it internally the live coding multiverse, where I do live coding Elevenses. And so I actually found this in the store the other day when I was with my kids at the mall. But I do live coding Elevenses, and then over here is live coding second breakfast. That is with Christy, and she streams on Mondays, every Monday now. And then on every other week, on the same time slot as what you're watching right now, is live coding afternoon tea with Travis. And so we have 3 different shows that are going on pretty consistently, where we just do these kind of live coding projects. All we have to do now is convince our other teammates to add a breakfast show, a luncheon show, a dinner show, or a supper show, and then we can have all of the Hobbit meals of the day. Yeah, because I know I found this at box lunch at the mall. Um, yeah, little. That's why we call them 11Cs, afternoon tea and second breakfast. But anyways, what we are building today is what we're hoping to build today is a Discord bot. And so for a little bit of background of why I want to tackle this today is because, well, one, I've been wanting to build this on a live coding stream for a while now. I've gotten it to work in different ways in the past, especially because I have made several Slack bots in the past. Some of them are pretty often used inside of the ServiceNow community, especially within the SNDev Slack. But making a bot for Slack is so easy because Slack has a built-in like an events interface. So whenever someone creates a message on Slack, it can send a REST message to anywhere you need it to. So ServiceNow, it's got to just build a REST API, and that it's a really easy back and forth way of handling messages in Slack. Discord was always more difficult for me, though, because I couldn't get that live chats go to ServiceNow. ServiceNow interprets what it might want to say and sends it back to Discord or to Slack, because Discord utilizes what we call a WebSocket to handle those live chat messages. It doesn't send REST messages whenever someone sends a chat message. It doesn't do that technology, which is kind of understandable. It's easier for scalability on the infrastructure side that a WebSocket keeps a connection alive, so that live interaction should be a live thing instead of constantly sending new requests over and over again and verifying those requests. A WebSocket basically says, hey, are you listening? Are we connected? Okay, we're going to keep this connection alive, and we know that this is a secure connection, and we can send those messages back and forth. The problem is ServiceNow doesn't have a way for like common developers like ourselves to create WebSockets. And so a Discord bot was always eluding me on how to make one until recently when I realized um, being able to create applets outside of ServiceNow that handles the WebSocket part of it is actually really easy now. And hopefully I'm going to be able to do all of it within this stream. Hopefully it doesn't have to become a two-parter stream, but my goal is to do it all in this one stream. I haven't, looking through that chat. Hey, and we have some chatters on LinkedIn too. Hey, Miguel. And Ben's also hanging out in LinkedIn. Thanks for joining Christy. Christy's another one of the hosts of the show, so make sure to check her show out too. If you're wondering about those shows, it's just this channel. So just go to for all you watching on LinkedIn, go to the YouTube channel and you'll see the other shows, and you'll be able to see all the different shows that are going on, including our different videos, live streams, shorts, all that good stuff. Before we get started, I did just hit the post button on the walkthrough for how to make this bot. And I'm going to be honest, I'm going to be following my own walkthrough because I'm going to be recreating all of this from scratch. And I don't want to sit there and code the scripts from scratch. So I might copy and paste them, but I'll walk through each of the scripts if I do copy and paste them. But if you are wondering where that blog is, if you're on YouTube, you can just go into the description. I've already updated it with that URL, so you can click on that if you want to follow along. If you're on LinkedIn or Twitch, let me change my screen layout real quick. All you have to go to is devlink.sn/blog, or just go to the ServiceNow community and look for the Developer Advocate blog. It's the most recent post up here, Discord, ServiceNow, Chatbot, complete walkthrough. If you go to that, you'll be able to see the full walkthrough of what we're building today, so that you can follow along or do it on your own time. But yeah, it's all here. Hopefully, if I mess something up on this blog and I try to do it today, then I'll go back and fix it after I finish the stream. But yeah, oh wow, we have a lot of people joining from all over the place. Hi, hey, Phil, and we got Daniel in the chat. Greetings from Denmark. Oh wow, everyone's watching from different places. But yeah, some people are moving on from the LinkedIn stream over to the YouTube because they prefer it that way. So that's chill. If I ever stop talking much, I might put on some like light background music just so that people know that my audio didn't cut out. I saw Chrissy do it on her stream and I was like, oh, that's actually pretty pleasant. So I might do the same. Anyways, I'm going to not jump into my developer instance yet. I have it ready. I was going to log in and start that side of it, but I think what's more important is probably the bot side. And I did start with that in the walkthrough. So we're going to go through that first. And so Discord developer portal, you might need a separate account for this for creating apps, but yeah, I can't remember. I think it might be the same one, but I also have made a blank Discord. So here's my brand new Discord server for live coding Multiverse. I have not sent a single chat on here. Completely brand new, no new channels. It's completely new. So we're starting fresh, but I need to start making an app for it. So I'm going to go into the Discord developer portal and say get started. I'm going to say new application. I'm going to name this live coding bot. Yeah, I think I'll name it that. Christy's asking, can I zoom in on that article if I'm following it? I'm going to be following it off screen as much as possible, just so I'm not flipping tabs back and forth for everybody, because what I'll be following it along on actually doing it. So that's there. Hey, David. Hey, everybody hanging out. Okay. Live coding bot, live coding happy hour bot, live coding multiverse bot. I'll just call it live coding bot. And create. Yes, I am a human. Let me zoom in on this screen for you all. Yeah, Phil's asking, will this be like the Slacker bot? Very similar. I'm creating the architecture behind the scenes to get it to act like the Slacker bot. Uh, we have to do it a much different way than the Slacker bot, which is actually fairly well documented in past videos, even in live coding happy hours back in the day, way back in the day. But for Discord specifically, we have to do a Node app with a WebSocket. So that's what we're doing differently. All right, so I'm in my newly created bot. I'm going to add some privileges to it. I need to grant it message content intent, just so that my bot can see messages, basically. And then I am going to go over to the OAuth 2, which is the authentication system for bots. And what we do is, so what I'm doing right now is I'm going to generate a URL that I'm going to utilize to log my bot into the server and grant it the permissions that it needs to do stuff on the server. This is the way you add bots for individual servers. So if there's a bot that you know that exists and you want to install on a server, you can do that with your own developed bots, up to like I think 100 servers before you have to start publicly listing the bot server, or the bot. I mean, all right. So I want it to be able to read messages. Where was it? Was it chats? Was it messages? I can't remember what it was called. Messages. There you go. Messages.read. I think can it read channels already? Yeah, guild chat. So guild is is one of the background terms for a server. So if you're on a Discord server, it's called a guild. I want it to be able to read the channel because it's important to know what channel it can respond to. And and in the instructions, I did talk about slash commands, but that's optional for right now. We basically just need it to be able to read the messages and read the channel. Is there other things about chats or messages that we might need? No, I don't want it to have access to DMing, so I think that's good. Um, I guess I need a redirect. What's the redirect that I used before? Hold on, I'm gonna let me pull up my my notes on this one. Oh wow. Yeah, see this is the weird part. Like Discord bots act very differently than what I'm used to. And so some of it I need to like remember how I actually handled it. What was it under installation? Did I just use installation? Let me see. Oh, okay. Never mind. We're gonna do it the easier way. I gotta update this on the documentation, but instead of doing the OAuth 2 way, which we could do if we go into if we establish the redirect stuff with the OAuth on ServiceNow, but it's actually easier if I just go through installation. And I think I have to give it. Let's go. I'm trying to remember what exactly I did to get this to work. See, this is the problem with live coding. Is this is the weird stuff of Discord bot stuff. It's like it's completely new. Ben's saying the same thing. Like this is a whole new world. Like we're not even in ServiceNow yet, but this is the kind of stuff that is required to do. Um, Oh, you know what? Okay, I know what I'm doing. We are supposed to be in the OAuth side, but I was trying to do the OAuth to URL generator for specific permissions if I was using OAuth. But what you actually need to do is just click bot, and then you tell it what the bot should be able to do. Not So I got to update those. You got to do bot first, and then say what privileges the bot should have. So view channels, and then messages, send messages. Um, is there a read? I'll do read message history. Yeah, I think that's the ones I need. Okay, there we go. Now I can copy this link, this generated link down here. And Discord app launch, I'm going to continue to Discord. I'm trying to add a bot to a server. It can create commands, and I'm going to add it to live coding multiverse server. Continue. Here's the 3 permissions that I was trying to give it in the configuration, and I'm going to authorize it. And if I go over here, live coding bot is now inside the server. All right, so that part's working. That's good. We're moving forward properly. Okay. Phil says I probably should use that music in the background, which is probably smart. I'm going to use the same one that. All right. Our bot is installed. It's ready. There are a few things that we do need, which I might have to. I'm going to show you all where it's from, but I can't reveal it on stream because that means you all will have the bot token. But basically, the bot token is here. If you go to bot and scroll down a little, there's a button that says reset token. I don't know if let me see if it generates it. Okay, give me a second. I gotta authenticate. Because I have 2FA on my Discord. And it showed it on screen. Okay, so I'm not going to use this one because it just showed it on screen. That's lovely. So what I'm going to do real quick, I'm going to regenerate that token, but I'm going to put this on screen so that you all don't see me do it. And then I'm going to copy this off screen and note this for later, because just like other systems, if you don't record it now, it will never be shown again. And okay, I just did that. Wait, was my screen not being shown? Oh, it showed it again. Okay, I gotta regenerate it again. I forgot to loop the animation. Okay, so let me regenerate the bot token again. That's so silly. Okay. All right. It's reset again. There you go. Now oh, I guess you can view the token again if you didn't record it the first time. Okay, so that's good. All right. Everyone's like, I saw it. We saw it. We saw the token. Haha. Okay. So I have the token. We're going to need that later. So just keep that saved for now. And then now we're going to go finally jump into ServiceNow. And we're going to start building the app that will host it. Let me see. zoom in for you all. Build what in Lego, Ben? Anyways, okay. So I'm going to do this in ServiceNow Studio for two reasons. One, because it has it's the new user interface to do development for not having to like jump around the system a bunch of times, which I love. Plus, it has the code search. But also because in Zurich, my PDI is in the Zurich release. There is source control integration, so that's pretty helpful to have as I build this app out. I'm going to create this app, a new app. Call it Live Coding Bot. I see. And thanks, Phil, for confirming the music level is solid. I'm going to just use the default admin role. That's it for that. I'm going to jump into the app details so I can start building stuff. So what we're building now is we need primarily two things: a table to host all the chat messages, and a business rule. Not business rule, not yet. We will eventually need a business rule, but a scripted REST API. And in Zurich specifically, you can actually have webhooks for that hit flows. So that is an option for me to do. Or you could build a API via flow, but I have a script for the scripted REST API, which is much easier to copy and paste, and it's more backwards compatible. So we're going to do that. I do think some people have, I think LinkedIn might be a little delayed. So just FYI, if I like talking in the future to some people, because I think YouTube comments are seeing it a little bit faster. Jeff is saying I think they think the bot needs the bot itself to command on it. I don't think I had to do that when I was doing this, so we'll see. We might have to come back and do that, but I don't think we need to. Yeah, so we're going to start making the table and the API now. We're going to start with a blank table. And this table is going to be called Discord chats. Do I want to number it? Yeah, sure. No, it's going to get really wild fast. That's fine. I think I'll leave it. I'm going to give all the admin role all access to it. I'm going to build up that table. And let's edit that table. All right, let's start adding all the fields that we'll want. Message ID. I'm going to read off of the documentation now to remember what fields we want. Message ID. And we'll make that 64 long. We're going to do channel ID. That's 64. Channel name. That's 128. Author ID. 64. Oop. Whoa. What is happening? There we go. Author and name. And these are important ones to have in case we need to reference them in any responses to messages. Nice. David saying, got to be a hardware technician today and mess with their TV and had to look up wiring diagrams and repair it. You know, that's very much in the spirit of a lot of the people in our developer advocacy team, like just tinkering. I like to tinker software wise, but like Chrissy is hands-on with a lot of actual devices and making those things work. Chuck was getting into electrical engineering stuff before he retired. Like, we're all a little bit of a tinkerer in different ways, and I think that's what kind of is in the heart of developers, right? We like to take things apart and see how they work and then mess with them until they work the different ways that we expect. It's always fun to see what people are working on. Content is the main one that we're going to be using to see what the actual chat message is, so that we can monitor that. So that's an important one. And then this one is a message. So this message TS is the message timestamp. So we're going to do it as a date time field. And when I make bots, since everything often comes in payloads, I like to include a field that's just the raw JSON of that object that is coming in. I think we should make this one even bigger. All right, and then number, we'll say that's the display field. Is there anything else I'm missing on here? Message, channel name, author name, content, message, timestamp, and the raw. There is an optional field that you might want to put in here. If you want to put a webhook URL field on your table, in case of if you are creating a bot that will send specific chats to specific channels, even if it was triggered from a different channel, having a webhook URL field would be helpful for you in the future. Because, so for instance, on the Slack, we have a channel that just says, here are some new emoji that people have added. Every time someone adds or deletes an emoji, it notifies a specific channel, the emojis channel. That channel never changes. It has the same channel ID. And so in Slack, we just input in the backend what channel is the emojis channel, and that's where it goes. For Discord, we would utilize a webhook. And to do that, you would go into Discord and say you have a specific, we'll say specific channel. And if you go to edit channel and go to integrations, you would create a webhook, and that is the URL you would use to send messages to. And in fact, if you only go by webhooks and don't utilize this like live monitoring of chats, you can actually set up webhook messages directly from ServiceNow with nothing else in between it, because webhooks are just a REST call. And so if you know how to configure a REST API call in ServiceNow, then you can send messages to webhooks all the time. It just doesn't have that live back and forth component that is required for Discord chat monitoring, which is only available via WebSocket. Fun fact, ServiceNow has WebSockets. They just haven't made it available for us to make our own ourselves. And I've seen other services use, like out of the box services use WebSockets. And I'm always like, hey, I've messaged some teams before, like, hey, you have a WebSocket. Are we able to make those? And they're like, no, that's not a thing yet. But one day, they'll make this much easier if they allow WebSockets, and I'll come back and make another video much expedited about this process. All right, so I have my table. I'm going to save it. And the next thing I'm going to make is, why is blinking? Oh, the REST API. So I'm going to go back to my app details page, and oh, is it here yet? No, let me refresh this. There's Live Coding Bot. So here's all my ServiceNow Studio hierarchy of files from my live coding bot so far. App details page is here, but I already had it open, so I'm here. And I'm going to create a REST API. Scripted REST API. All right. When you name your API, it's helpful to not have spaces in it, so I always name it with it. So I'm going to put Discord_ingest as my API name. Okay. Now I have the service record, and now I need to create resources within that API service. These are the individual ones that you would target if you know how to use APIs, of course. These are the ones you would target to do different things. So some APIs would have, if you only want to read information, you would make a resource for that. If you want to read specific information, you would put, that could be an additional resource. If you wanted to create a record, that would be a separate post resource, etc. So every action should be a resource, basically. I'm going to make a new resource, and it's going to be a post resource. If you see, I'm trying to, I have trouble sometimes giving knowing when I should give context or not give context to not make this show 8 hours long. But yeah, the HTTP method, get is read, usually. Post is inserting, etc. Delete is delete. There's different kinds of updating because there's put and patch, but for the API, the integration that we're doing, since we're creating records in our chat table, this is a post. And what did I name this one? I think I just called it default post. Okay. So I am going to copy and paste this script in here, but I'll walk through it right now. Okay, so what's going to happen is the app we're going to make in a little bit is going to send a message, a post message to this API. And in it, we're going to have this randomly generated string that we're going to save in ServiceNow just so they can match those just as an additional security point, and check if those are correct. And then it's going to take the request body, so the information, the payload that is coming in, it's going to parse it, and then it's going to take all of that and insert it into a record inside of ServiceNow. This is from the example, but since I'm making this brand new, I got to make sure the table is what we're expecting it. And so you get the table name, and I'm going to, where am I? Holy moly, where am I? And that's the table name with the, so this is the table name for that Discord's chat table that I made. What I did to get it was I previewed the table, which brought me here. And then I right-clicked this all filter and pressed copy URL, and the table name is in there. So here it is, the X underscore my dev instance name, the app name, and then the table name, and then underscore list. But for the sake of the table name, you would not include the underscore list part. And then, so what it's doing here is a glide record is initializing a new record on this table, and for every one of these fields, it is grabbing it from the payload and inputting it into that record and inserting it. If it works out all the way through, it says, hey, good job. If you don't know what all of these are, it's basically saying if that doesn't exist, just make it blank. Yeah. Because if it errors out, then you might run into weird bugs at that point. And so, yeah. All right, I'm going to save that. And we do need to set the property because the property might be different too. So let's go ahead and do that too. Go back and create a new system property. I'm going to call this API key. And there's the full name of the API key, which I'm going to copy now. And we need to create the random value. So I know there's an easy way to do that with a terminal. I don't want to jump into a terminal just for that. So I'll just Google random hex generator. Generate hex. And I'll just use the first one and copy it in there and save. Okay, so I have this. I'm not worried about the stream seeing this one because it's just an interaction between my specific bot and this one. And so I'm not worried about that being intercepted anyways. So I'm going to copy this system property name and I'm going to go back to my resource and I'm going to change this over to the right name. Okay, so that side should be done. Is it time to jump into more complicating stuff? I think so. Okay, so I'm going to clean this up real quick and then I'm going to go to my GitHub and I'm going to create a new repository. And I'm going to call this one Live Coding Bot. I'll keep this public too. I like having README, so I'll initiate that. I will make a git ignore. I'll manually create the git ignore later. So I'm going to create this repository. Behind the scenes, I already have a credential created on my PDI. I'm not going to walk through creating a credential and with a GitHub token on stream because I have it well documented as of last night. If you go to the developer advocate blog at devlink.sn/blog, if you go to source control in ServiceNow Studio complete walkthrough, you can jump down to create a credential in ServiceNow, and it'll walk you through all the process of creating these tokens inside GitHub and then where to save it inside of ServiceNow to get this part working. So I'm not going to walk through that on stream because I've already set that up on my instance in the background. So going back to the actual bot build, I'm going to get this URL from my repository. And I'm going to source control, link to source control, say, this is the URL. I know best practice is to keep it as the default name. I'm a sucker for main. And I'm going to use my GitHub token and link. Right, that was successful. So if I go back to my bot or my repo, there's all my good stuff. And it should have been a snapshot of the app as it is right now. So the table and the REST API are there. And now I am going to jump into the next part and build the Discord bot side of things. So I'm gonna go into my GitHub desktop. I don't think I could zoom in on this, so I apologize that it's so tiny. But I am going to clone my new live coding bot repository onto my computer. And I'm going to open it up in Visual Studio. I trust myself. Okay, here is, I can zoom in. Oh, there we go. Hopefully that's visible for everybody. All right, so here is my app as it exists now, all ServiceNow stuff. But I need to make a Node.js app to run the WebSocket side of things. So I'm going to create a new folder called bot, and I have to open up a terminal. Ooh, that takes up a lot of space. That's fine. And I need to navigate to the bot folder. So I cd bot, and now I'm in the bot folder as my terminal root. And this is where I'm going to start running commands to set some things up. The thing you all need to know is you need stuff like, if you don't have Node installed, if you don't have npm installed, you need to look up that separately and get those installed onto your computer. Node is something that you can just go to the Node website and download it, and it'll install on your computer. Or you can, if you look up the commands to do it inside this terminal, you could do that too. But you need those things. I'm verifying that I have them by just typing in node-version v. So when it's returned a version that says, oh, I do have it. I do have npm. There's a version. If I didn't, it would result in an error. So that means you know that, hey, I need those things before I move on. I'm going to run an initialization. And inside of this folder, it just created my package of package.json. And then I'm going to install npm install discord.js node fetch cat2.env environment. I can explain what all those things are. I don't think it's relevant for you to know all those details of what it is, but in fact, mine won't work anyways because I already have. Oh no, it'll install it here. In different repos, I've installed it before, but in this repository specifically, it does not have discord.js installed. And what discord.js basically is, it's a Node library for interacting specifically with the Discord API. So you don't have to set up all of the scripting and all that stuff and all the files that are necessary to do that. It makes it really easy to create your bot from scratch, basically. So I'm going to type that in and press enter, and it's going to do a bunch of things inside of this bot folder for me. And it's done. So now it has all these Node modules for making this integration work. And yeah, and let me just make sure the package has okay, so it is missing a couple of things I need. I'm gonna, in the bot folder, I'm gonna create a new index.js file. This is gonna have the logic for running the actual bot. But then in my package, I need to update this to say, I'm going to take off this test one and I'm going to change it to start. A start script is to say run the index file. So node index.js basically means go to that index file and run it. I'm going to store some of the secret files and tokens and stuff like that I have in a file, and so I need to create that file now, and it's going to be called .env this is an environment file, and I'm going to copy this from the documentation that I made, and these are the three things that we need. The bot token that I accidentally showed 3 times on the stream, the REST API URL that we just created, and then that random string of numbers that I have in a system property. So let's get this filled out. I'll go backwards since I don't want to show my Discord token again. But let me go grab that random string of numbers from my system property. I'll put that in here. The ingest URL is, it's this. If you go back to the resource that we created, the post resource, it's this resource path at the end of your URL for your instance. So that ends up looking like this. So this is my specific one. It's not yours. So make sure yours is yours. But this is my API URL for this bot to target. And then my Discord token, I am going to bring this over to the side real quick so I can put it in and not accidentally show everybody like I did earlier. And I'm going to save it and then close that file so I don't accidentally show it again. There it goes. Okay. All right. I successfully did that without showing the token again. All right. So the environment file is in there. I am going to also create a new file on the root, not in the bot folder. And remember how I skipped creating the git ignore file? I'm going to do that now, and I'm going to tell it to ignore node modules. I'm going to tell it to ignore that environmental file. Gotta make sure I spell node modules correctly. So .git ignore is basically your way of telling source control, or GitHub specifically source control, hey, anytime I commit files from when I work on these, do not commit these files to the repository, which is very important because I have a secret token saved in my environment file. And so if without this .git ignore file, I will be unintentionally publishing my Discord token, bot token, onto a public repository, which would then immediately be flagged by these bots that watch GitHub, and Discord will automatically disable your token. And so it won't work. But yeah, so that's why a .git ignore file is important. And this is actually only important right now when we're running this locally. And you'll see why later, because we're going to move this to a 24/7 server. And so we're not going to be saving these secrets inside of an environment file. We're going to be saving it on that remote server later. Okay, let's go back to the index.js file. This is the kind of stuff that a lot of you ServiceNow developers that might be watching this might not be familiar with. There's a lot of stuff that happens in here that you might not necessarily know how that's working. That's okay. This is basically walking through how to utilize the Discord API. Messages are built into intents, or like what happens in chat messages is what they call intents. And so it's getting put into there along with the information from what server it's coming from, the channel it's coming from, and the message content itself. And then it's creating a WebSocket. That's what this thing is doing to connect with the Discord server. And then every time it sees this specific event of message create, it builds a payload. This is what I was saying earlier, the payload. and try sending it over the WebSocket. That's it. And send some errors back, and if it doesn't work, but yeah, that's basically what's happening on this index.js file. So if I save this, and now fun part begins, I'm going to say, I'm going to verify I'm in the bot folder, because that's where this part of the app lives. You would get an error if you were in the root folder. And I'm going to say npm start, because in my package.json, there is if I say start, it's running index.js. So if I run this, it should, yep, it worked the first try. All right, cool. Logged in as live coding bot, and that's the bot's assigned number. And if I go to Discord, it is green, and I can even press Control C to terminate the bot, and it should disappear. Well, should have. Apparently it's still alive somehow. Anyways, okay, we're gonna go back to starting it. Okay, so it's on, and so it'll be really cool if it works the first try. Oh, you know what? Before I do a test message, I actually do know something I forgot. I'm gonna go back to this post, and I'm going to turn off requires authentication for it. And I'm going to now go back to Discord and say, hello world. And let's go to the table and see. It worked the first try. Okay, so let me reorganize these fields. I'm going to say number, author name, content, message timestamp, and the channel name. All right, it's in the general chat. It's in the here's the author, here's the content. Perfect. Good. The walkthrough is working pretty well. So that means if people are setting this up at home, it should work pretty well. And if I go back to Discord and I go to Discord and go, yay, it worked. It should have done all of them, because on my computer right now, this bot app is running on my computer, and every time a message comes, my computer, via this little applet that I just made, is monitoring the Discord chat via a WebSocket, and every single time it receives a message from the WebSocket, it then creates a post message and sends it over to my scripted REST API in ServiceNow, which has a glide record that creates it as a record on my table. So that's the whole WebSocket side of things. Now we want it to communicate back. And so one of the easiest ways to do that is actually, whenever a record comes into this table, let's run a script to determine what to do. And if we validate, let's send a message back. So that makes sense to make it as a business rule. So I'm going to go back and create a business rule. I need to drink a liquid. My mouth is getting so dry from talking. All right, business rule time. We're gonna call this one respond to messages. I don't know. Respond to chat. I'm gonna put it on the Discord chat table. Which one's on? This one. You saw my testing table earlier. We're gonna make it an advanced one because we need a script. We're gonna do it on insert, and we're gonna do it async. We probably don't need to do it async. No, it's a REST API call. So it needs to be async. Okay, yeah. So async insert, and I'm going to let it run on every chat message. Yeah, like I could do something like content contains like help or exclamation point incident, and it'll only run on those ones to make it run a little bit better performant. But if I wanted to watch everything for all the different kinds of cases that I might need, you can just leave that blank. All right. Advanced. The script that I'm going to copy and paste and walk through right now is in the documentation that I posted on the blog. So what's doing is it's taking the content of the record, trimming it down, and so I'm handling it in the script. If it doesn't start with an exclamation point, I'm just going to ignore it. If you wanted to run on every single chat that comes in, that's what you would delete or comment out. It needs the Discord bot token. So actually, I should set that up now. And here comes the shrubbery again, because I don't want to show my token. Okay, I saved it, and I'm going to copy the system property name and then close that tab so I don't accidentally show the token again. I'm going to replace this with my newly created token, property, I mean. And so it's saved there. And then it's going to check for the channel ID and make sure there is one, because we need to send it back to the same channel that it came from. And then I have some of these baked in ones. So like, for examples for people to like play with. So this exclamation point incidents one will run this function down here of getting a glide aggregate of just counting the number of incidents on the table. And then it'll return this message. If you don't know how to create strings via backtick, I would highly recommend you look that up. It's called template literals, and that's what this is. Instead of writing things out like this of incident, snapshot, and then open plus the open number plus this generated. That's like, that gets messy when you're adding a bunch of variables into it. And so using a template literal is very easy because you just use this format to make the chat message. I also have this help one where it basically says like, here's your help and here's what you can say. I also have this general one where if it's not exclamation point incidents or exclamation point help, it's like a test. It'll just send back what the person said as a way to verify. And then the send reply function is basically the REST API call to hit the message, the channel API to send the message. But like I said earlier, if you just want to send messages to a Discord, it's actually really easy because you can just do REST API calls. It's the monitoring of chat messages that is difficult, or more difficult to do. Okay, so that's what that script does, and I'm going to save it. And I'm going to go back to Discord. I'm going to do a test message just to make sure that everything is still working as I expected. This at the top, there's test message. And then I'm going to trigger help. Hey, it works. Okay. So I said exclamation help, and it responded with that little message that I had in there. And then I can try doing something like, hi, Christy, David, and Jeff. It should respond with, you said, hi, Christy, David, and Jeff. Perfect. Yeah, so that's the whole app, right? Like that created that I have an app now that is created a WebSocket to monitor Discord. It's sending messages into my ServiceNow app, and then my ServiceNow app is determining the logic via a business rule of what to send back to the Discord channel. Um, if you want it to work in multiple channels, all you have to do is go to a different channel and make sure that the bot is in there. And so sometimes you might need to invite that bot into it if it's like a private channel, or grant it the role to see that channel. But as long as you are in the that bot shows that it's living in this channel as online, then it will work for all the channels that it can access. Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. Okay, I know we're at an hour in, but I would love to keep this episode as a single episode from beginning to end to how to get this thing to work. And we got it to work exactly how we wanted it to. But now the problem is, what if I turn my computer off? Then the bot will die. We can't just run this bot forever. And so what I'm going to do is demonstrate that by pressing Control C on my terminal, or Command C if you're on a Mac, and I'm going to terminate that bot. So if I go to Discord now and I type in !help as normal, nothing happens because the bot is dead. And that's a problem. That bot is permanently tied to me. For some of you that have like home computers or home servers and you want to just run this 24/7, you can stop here. Good job. You can you're running a bot now. But I want to send this bot into a server, and I want it to live 24/7. And this current service that I use that I really like is called Railway. And so if you don't have an account for Railway, you can just go to Railway. Hey Hassan, and hey Twitch chatter. All right, I know I have chats coming in from LinkedIn, YouTube, and Twitch, so it's like kind of I have to monitor it. But okay, so go to railway.com, sign up for an account, and Railway is, what's the best way to describe Railway? It's a cloud platform, and it's for running bots, apps, APIs. Yeah, it's like one of the easiest ways to deploy a Node.js app, and that's why I'm using it. Yeah, okay, so let's go ahead and get that part of it done. So, what's the next step on this part? Okay, so in here, I'm going to say, oh, you know what I need to do first? I need to commit everything. Okay, so before I can run everything, I need to commit all this. I'm going to go back to my VS Code, and I'm going to say Node.js app init, and I'm going to commit this in. You know what? Not yet. Let me, ooh, that's going to be interesting. If you're going to start committing things to sync everything up, always do the ServiceNow side first. Yeah, so I'm going to go back to my app details of my bot. I'm going to commit all the changes that I've made, because I have made some changes. Didn't I? Didn't I make changes? Oh, let me refresh. Okay, there it goes. Commit changes. Because I did make a bunch of different things. Like I did a new business rule, I did new system property, I did update the post. And I also have all these cross-scope privileges in there. I'm going to commit all of it. I'm going to commit this to the repository. My business rule, updated resource, etc. It's going to be good. Oh yeah. So I have a secret in here, which we need to get rid of. I should have saved this as a global property. Let me put the hedge push up real quick. So I'm glad it like rejected the secret first, actually. Okay, so what I just did was I cleared out the value for the Discord bot token and I blanked it out. Now, hopefully, it will work. There it goes. That's why. Yeah, so um, GitHub is smart enough that it doesn't even allow the commit. Back in the day, it used to allow the commit, and then it would kill your token. Now, before it even commits, it's like, hey, you have a token here. We're not going to let you do that. That's actually really cool. I didn't know they did that now. For this to work, I need to have that token back in there. So I'm going to go back real quick and add that value back in and save it. You every time you commit, you're going to have to do that. What I would recommend is to create this property with your Discord bot token as a global property so that it never accidentally comes into your app. All right, so that's all committed. Now I can go to VS Code and I'm going to sync the changes. And it shows that I have one up and one down that I need to pull in. And since none of those files will collide, so it's fine to do both at the same time. Well, okay, so now that is up to date, I'm going to go to Railway. Well, let me verify it's up to date. So I'm in my GitHub repository. Here's my ServiceNow app. Here's my bot app. Everything looks good. So now I can go to Railway. I'm going to say new, deploy from GitHub repo. And if you haven't set up this stuff yet, it'll ask you. And so I'm going to say configure GitHub app. And I'm going to install it onto a repository under my account. I'm going to verify real quick via passkey. Give me a second. Two-factor authentication is very important. Okay, let's scan my face. And I am granting it access to my live coding bot and saving. That closed and everything go. Okay, I'm going to say new and say new again, GitHub repo. Here we go. Right there. Do I need to refresh? Oh yeah, there, okay. It's there. I had to refresh the page. Live coding bot. It's gonna create different structure behind the scenes for your app. The cool thing about Railway is that it's going to notice that it has a Node app, and then it's going to just start running it for you. Hey Hassan, Hassan's asking what's the lore behind everything. So we're creating a Discord bot that is run via a ServiceNow app integration. Yeah, so a bunch of stuff. There's I'll send a link out, or I'll put it on the screen again, but a full documentation of what I'm doing. But we're getting close to the end, so I want to power through this. Okay, so settings. So on the deployment, you'll see it failed. The reason why it failed is because when I gave it the repository to build this app on, that repository is separated into two apps. There's a ServiceNow app, which owns the root because it has ServiceNow stuff as the root stuff. And then there's a separate app under the bot. That's the one we just built all together over the past hour or so. And so the bot that I wanted to run online is actually hidden in this subdirectory, in this one folder. And so it's trying to run it off root, which is not going to work. So what we need to do is go into settings and change the branch connected to production to, no, not that one. Add root directory. Yeah, root directory should be bot. That's it. And I'm going to say deploy, and we're going to watch it, try to run. I hope that's all I needed to do. Oh, there's another thing we forgot. Okay, before that could work, remember the environment variables that we had earlier? In fact, I'm gonna abort this one because it doesn't have the REST API URL yet. It doesn't have the Discord bot token. It doesn't have my randomly generated API 32-digit hex thing because that doesn't exist on this GitHub repository because I have it in the git ignore. My environment thing disappeared. So in Railway, you go into the variables tab, and we're going to create 3 new variables. One of them is called SN API key. And let me just grab that record real quick. That's the value of the one I made. I'm going to add that. I'm going to say new variable, SN underscore ingest underscore URL. I'm going to copy in my scripted REST API resource and add that. And then I'm going to say new variable. And my last one is that Discord token that I keep having to hide so that none of you steal it from me. So let me put the shrub back on. Shrub. Okay, there it is. And then I'm going to save that. All right. So I have these 3 variables now. Those are my environment variables, but now Railway needs it separate because we're running it by itself. And I'm going to deploy it. And we're going to wait for it to initialize. This takes a little bit because it needs to build the app on a new sectioned off server space on the Railway servers. It's going to build it. It's going to look through it. It's going to run it. Yeah. So we're just going to chill for a minute and make sure it finishes. Thank you to everybody that stuck around for the stream. I'm surprised. I'm actually fairly surprised I'm going to be able to contain this within an hour and a half. So that's good. But hey, that means within an hour and a half, you can have your own ServiceNow run Discord bot that lives 24/7. So that's pretty cool. As long as it works, Christy. Christy's like, I'm impressed. I'm like, just let's make sure it works first. David says, it's almost like, we like to expose vulnerabilities and thrive in chaos. If I had $10 for every single time I exposed a API key or a key that I shouldn't have, I don't know, I'd probably have a few $100s at this point. Christy's asking, is Railway kind of like Rapid API? Railway's like a lot of things, yes. Rapid API, yeah, I mean, you can do it with Amazon Web Services. It's just it's personally my favorite right now, just to do, because it's cheap and it's cost effective too. But yeah, all right. It says deployment successful. So I am going to go into my VS Code again, just to show that in my terminal I have nothing running. I don't have. Yeah, see, I'm saying kill processes. Nothing's happening. In fact, I will kill that terminal. So nothing is running locally on my app. And then I'm going to jump into Discord and say help again. There it is. So I built a Node app locally, and then I gave it to Railway to run. And now Railway is running it 24/7. It started it for me. But the cool thing about Railway too is it'll notice if it ever stops running or like fails or dies, and then it'll run the start command again. So that the uptime is actually really high. And so now it's there, it's running. I can get out of Railway. I can go back out of here. I can go back to my ServiceNow table, refresh this, and maybe the next command I want is, I don't know, like a joke command. I don't have a joke parser built into it, but I can go into my business rule and I can start saying, hey, if you see the word, you see the, come on, edit. There you go. If you see the word else if content starts with joke, send reply to the same channel and say Earl's face. I don't know. And save that. Oop, I put it too much. And then save that and go back to Discord. And I'm gonna say joke. Earl's face. Haha, that's a great joke. Because he's saying, could you use a decision table here? Yeah. Use whatever method you want to parse these things. If you want to really see a really cool way to parse messages, the the Slacker bot GitHub repo is public. We have a way for us to build parsers on a table. And so the Slack bot, it has this many ways of interacting with chats. And we do it all in separate scripts on separate files so that doesn't get clunky or in one big script include or a lengthy decision table. So there's cool ways you can architect this. But if you have simple things of like, hey, if someone says exclamation point incidents and they want to know the number of incidents, do that. Maybe it's exclamation point last incident and it'll tell you what's the last incident. All that kind of stuff. Cool. You know what? I think that's all of it. Yeah, I think what is that? An hour and 18 minutes with like a 15-minute intro of just talking about it. We were able to do everything from creating the ServiceNow app, creating the Discord bot, creating the Node.js app, and then deploying it to Railway, all within this last hour. Yeah, basically the last hour. Like I said earlier, the documentation for this is available at devlink.sn/blog. I'll flash that link on the screen real quick. So that link, and it's one of the latest posts, building a Discord ServiceNow chatbot complete walkthrough. But if you go to that, you'll see this stream is actually on there embedded right now, but also talking about exactly what all these different things were, and then a step-by-step process of creating this app. There are a couple of things that were incorrect that I need to correct in here, but all the same scripts that I used, all the same things that I was running, testing steps to make sure everything's working at that moment. And then at the end, I made sure to include how is this actually working, in case you're interested in that kind of stuff. And then I did add a troubleshooting section because there were things that I ran into while I was setting up this stream, and I try to include them here too. But yeah, that's it. That's all the stuff. Yay! I'm glad that I was able to get all of that done in one stream. I wasn't sure if this was going to be 2 episodes or not. But yeah, don't forget to check out all the other live coding streams that we have on these channels. Catch Christy, Miriam on Second Breakfast. That happens on Mondays. I'm this time slot, Elevenses, and then Afternoon Tea is the same time slot as me, but on the other week. So Travis next week, and then me in 2 weeks, and then Travis the week after, so etc. Yeah, cool. Thanks everybody. I hope you all have a great day. Thanks for hanging out with me during the stream. Bye.